Very good morning to you. And on the 11th hour this morning, we have with us Dr. Prathiba Mahanama, former Dean, Faculty of Law, University of Technology, Jamaica. And today we're going to talk about a very important topic. And this is, I would say, the hot topic as well. So it's about the 20th Amendment. And first and foremost, let me wish you a very good morning.
Good morning to you all. Thank you.
And Doctor, today we are going to talk about the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. But before we get into this topic, can you please explain to our listeners in a layman's point of view as to what a Constitution is?
Simply, Constitution is the highest law in a country. Every country, there are 194 United Nations members. All countries, they are having a written or unwritten constitution, which define the powers of the executive, the powers of the legislation, the powers of the courts, as well as in the modern constitution. I really respect 1996 South African Constitution, separate para for the human rights and fundamental rights. So Constitution is the highest law in a country. In Sri Lanka, the Constitution is 1978, Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. After we became a republic, the first Constitution was 1972 Constitution. Now we have the 1978 Constitution. Now what is the difference between a Constitution and a law passed by Parliament? That is called Act. To amend a law, Act, you need simple majority. That means 113 votes. But to amend the Constitution, you need 2/3 majority of the Parliament, 150 plus. As well as sometimes for certain sections, that is called articles in the Constitution, you need a referendum. So Constitution making different from country to country. In 1970, the Samagi Peramuna won a 2/3 majority under Honorable Sirima Bandaranaike, former Prime Minister, and they gave an election promise. Within few years, we will come up with the Constitution. So they changed the Salisbury Constitution and the first Republic Constitution, which was based with the UK, administration system we had. And with that, we called Constitution with Prime Minister, Executive and the Cabinet. But today, after 1978, the Constitution was changed, Executive Constitution. So please remember, today we are having an Executive President. So Executive President powers are given in the Constitution. You can't actually withdraw or take, that's why 19th Amendment, certain powers to be granted to the Parliament from President. The Honorable Supreme Court judges said, no, you have to go for a referendum. So, simply speaking, Constitution is the main law, the highest law, the biggest law in the country. So, every institution run under the Constitution. In simple words, Sri Lanka, 1978 Constitution, executive, the President, and we have a legislation, Parliament, and then we have the judiciary. As well as Chapter 3, we have a Fundamental Rights chapter.
And now, Doctor, what we are talking about, the buzz is about the amendment of the Constitution.
Sure.
So shall we touch on why this has become quite a buzz?
Now, I will explain to you. This 1978 Constitution, there are 19 amendments up to now. All these 19 amendments introduced by the government which came into power time to time. Now the 19th Amendment which tried to restrict the legally appointed as the people mandate given for the executive president. So 19th Amendment, the president had challenges. We'll talk about practical situation. Now see the former president, Honorable Maithripala Sirisena, what he is saying in the East Attack Commission. Because of this executive president and the 19th Amendment and the Prime Minister. From the 19th Amendment, what they tried, the good governance government tried to withdraw the powers of the president and also withdraw several powers and given to the so-called, I am not telling these are independent commission. One of the independent commission members also doing a fuss in that. Many things are happening there, but we'll talk about later. What I want to talk about, people gave a clear mandate for the president as well as the president party to the parliament. So one of the election pledge, please read this Saubhagya Dakma, prosperity. What it say? It say the hindrance, the restricted for the prime minister, for the president, and also prime minister try to overtake all the powers. The country cannot run well. It affected basically economic development, people's rights, and a lot of fraud and corruption happened. So all these things, I'll tell one thing. If 19th Amendment was superior or running well, do you think we need a 20th Amendment? No. The 19th Amendment lasts 4.5 hours. The Constitutional Council, what they did, even the former speaker, what they tried to do to restrict, it was a challenge because all the commissions are appointed. They are not people representatives. They are just government officials. So bureaucracy was very high. So what happened in the last governance, it was actually politicized as well as high bureaucracy was there. So the people were finally suffering. So I can give a lot of examples and I can show you why we need a 20th Amendment. So in simple words, we need 20th Amendment for certain things. Freedom should be there for the president to take decisions, to run the country, and time to time, we don't know, emergency situations are coming. So see, COVID-19, it's a pandemic. That's why we need central power. That's why president try to do his best. But if certain commissions or certain committees try to take that power, you can't run. It's happening in many countries. So where pandemic is happening, it can be a disaster, it can be the economic development. For all these things to take decision, it will take years and years sometimes. Only the discussions. So all these things actually pave the way for the government to introduce 20th Amendment until we get the new constitution. Now let me explain this. Why we need a 20th Amendment? It's an interim relief. It's an interim solution. It goes back to the 1978 Constitution as well as the 18th Amendment. In that, when you remove the 19th Amendment, there should be some way to function this country and whatever the constitution powers given for the executive president to exercise without any restriction by the so-called Constitutional Council and the other commissions. We can come up with a new constitution. No two words. It will take some time. You see, when Mr. Nelson Mandela, when he took the power, he got 2 years from 1994, May to 1996. May, he took 2 years to introduce a new constitution. So until we introduce a new constitution, committees have been set up and finally it will be taken by the parliament. Until that, there must be some freedom for the president to take decisions and to run the country without any barriers. So that's why my simple argument, 19th Amendment actually restricted the people president. I call the people president because people voted. So how can you restrict his powers? If you want to change the executive president, yes, in future you can do it. But still, he was elected by people. So the mandate is there. New constitution, yes, you take a decision. We don't need executive president, so we run with the parliamentary system. Fine, that's fine. After electing the president, if you try to push more and more restrictions, then specifically if prime minister and president come in two parties like last time, even it can be a terrorist attack. Now the latest attacks we have seen in many countries. So there must be power generation by one unit rather than delegation.
Thank you very much for enlightening us on what exactly is a constitution and on the 19th Amendment and the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. You've shared your views with regards to the 20th Amendment to the Constitution as a senior lawyer, Doctor. But those opposed to such a change cite the concepts of absolute power, even nepotism. So you mentioned that there should be a 2/3 majority from the parliament to actually work on this amendment. So speaking to these claims are open to debate as well for the 2/3 majority in parliament. So what are your views in relation to this?
Very good question. Now we are also debating. So you are asking question, I am responding. So debate is very, very important. You know this in the world, when the first constitution were drafted, that is you call social contract theory. What do you mean by social contract theory? People one side, rulers one side. Nothing called nepotism. So people elect. After elected, you can give lot of nicknames, nepotism and different names you can give. But I don't agree with that because it's a people wish. This is not forcibly come. This is not by a revolution. This is not by anything other than forcibly. People wish. So what I want to enlighten here, the debate is very, very important. Now, even the Gazette was there for a long time, this 20th Amendment. Lot of non-government organizations, civil society organizations, religious leaders, they have come up with several arguments. They were trying to introduce several things. But what the government did? When it came for Supreme Court, these petitions were challenged. This amendment was challenged by 39 petitions. Honorable Attorney General once again submitted. This is the original Gazette. After listening to people, we have amended several. So more than 100 amendments were given to consider in the committee stage. That is the democracy, which never happened in 1978 Constitution when it was drafted. This never happened in 19th Amendment. Whatever they discussed, Election Commission, originally in the 19th Amendment, 5 members were there with a quorum. When it came to 19th Amendment, to the committee stages, it reduced to 3 members. That's why we were suffering a lot. But this government did a fantastic work. What is that? Okay, these are the things we are going to introduce in the committee stages. Until now, not a single amendment has done that. So I wish Supreme Court was aware, people were aware, we know new things are coming. So I like to respond what you ask for this nepotism or, different imperialist or something like that. I mean, people elected these representatives with a big voting. So opposition or foreign funding agencies is not running with their plan. I have seen this in the Geneva Human Rights Council. What happened? All these backed people for the opposition are now making sounds there. So that indicates, to change the mindsetting of the people. The government is doing something work. You see, even this government listening to people and reduce a lot of essential commodities prices. So this should happen. So I know many countries. I was living in Jamaica. Next is Cuba. Developed very well with the, conflict with the USA, resisting with USA, Human Rights Council barriers. But Fidel Castro continuously developed that country. Another country I like to give, Singapore. Even Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore was far below us in that period. But he took few years, he developed, changed the constitution. So likewise, we need one government. Political stability is important. If you need investment for Sri Lanka, then you need the political stability and economic stability. For that, we need a strong government. That's why people given it. I'll give one example. USA and Vietnam. They had a war in 1970s. and they were enemies. But after that, today, go and see. All the USA big firm investments are in Vietnam with a socialist system. Why? Political stability. So that's why other foreign countries, if you want to absorb investment, you have to show politically stabilized. Otherwise, parliament is hanging, nothing will happen. So that's why, at least for few years,
that would attract people to invest.
Executive president, thereafter you take a decision. They will go for a referendum whether we need a new constitution, what is the structure of the constitution, but we need some time for that. So remember, India, I read an article 3 days or 4 days before, ISI is once again rising. Definitely it will back Sri Lanka also. Then we need the executive president to take decisions rather than putting all these things into parliament and taking long time. So wise decision to take, a wise president a good president we have. So we'll run the system, develop, and you can think about constitution in a later stage.
And since we did touch on the debate and we spoke a lot about your opinion and what's good in terms of having this 20th Amendment to the Constitution, we also have a party opposing it. 11:20, and you're listening to the 11th hour. And today we're talking about the 20th Amendment with Dr. Prathiba Mahanama. And we discussed about your opinion on the 20th Amendment to the Constitution and how vital it is to have a constitution, have a new amendment to the Constitution because of the current situation in the country and about the situation which may arise in the future. So there should be a stability. You spoke about all that. And speaking of the 2/3 majority in Parliament and the debate to be held, there's also people opposing it. There's a party opposing this, the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. So what are the remedial measures? Because obviously what they want is the removal of independent commissions.
That's a good question. Now the Honorable Speaker will read the verdict or the opinion for this 20th Amendment to the Parliament. Only one thing. Whether this is contradictory with the Constitution, yes or no. If there is a contradictory, Supreme Court has laid down those things. So the government has option. Whether you go 2/3 and the referendum, they can think about it. But I am telling one thing, for everything, good and bad things are there. 19th Amendment, fully not removed. Don't misunderstand it. 19th Amendment, good features taken to the 20th Amendment. See, right to information.
So you're referring to alterations.
Yeah. Alteration, I'm telling. Even the opposition cannot basically go against this because 19th Amendment commissions are there. What they have done, the so-called Constitutional Council, which comprised with civil citizens, were removed. So these civil citizens are just coming and sitting, putting rubber stamp of the former Prime Minister, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe's statement only. Now, this government, what they have done, commissions are there. But what they have done, when they are appointing the commission, they have set up a Parliament Council, headed by Honorable Speaker, then the Prime Minister, then the Prime Minister's representative, then you have opposition leader representative. So how can you say opposition is not there? This is the way many countries appoint judges. Even you go to Australia. Now very recently, Victoria Supreme Court appointed judges. When they were appointing, the executive named. And thereafter it goes to the Parliament Council. Same way in many countries. Even in India. If you are talking about Sri Lanka is better than India. India also, there is a committee. That committee is there. So what they try to do, they need the Constitutional Council. But Constitutional Council, at least the civil members, they were all NGO representatives. And what they did, they want to satisfy Geneva. That's happened. I will give a very good example. You know the story of this Swiss embassy lady? Immediately there was a fabricated fake news. Immediately one commission made a statement. Hey, look here. Look that lady where she is. After that, the truth was revealed. It was a self-abduction. And now the story is going. Now they are full silent. Is that the purpose of these commissions? And I don't want to reveal all these things because you will think I am fully against. No. This is where we have to rectify those issues. 19th Amendment, you can rectify certain things, but cannot rectify. Honorable Supreme Court Chief Justice, 19th Amendment, Siripawan. Honorable Siripawan said, if you want to remove all the executive powers to the Prime Minister, go for a referendum. They didn't go for a referendum. They thought they can't win it. So my basic argument, opposition can suggest, recommend reasonable amendments that should be welcomed by the government. If the opposition gives some reasonable rather than, critics for the revenge, forget about that. We are all living in one country. Even opposition need a constitution. One day opposition will come to power. That's a different date. But until that, we need to run the system perfectly. If you can't run the system perfectly, this is the last chance. I have been more than 45 countries. All countries I have seen how the executive run. Some countries there is no executive president, doesn't matter. Then you have the executive prime minister. So having this system, if you want to change, the best solution is coming. Within 6 months, Honorable President said, we will give a draft. Even the last 4.5 years, spending millions of dollars by the last government, until they didn't have these TNA and other parties. I am openly saying, I am criticizing openly what they had done. Even the last opposition, TNA, they have appointed people really needed by the last Prime Minister, last government. They were not thinking about people. They were thinking about how should be in the power. But this government totally different. They are thinking about the people. They are introducing new things. Okay, people having a chance. When the new constitution to be introduced, what will happen? People can say, yes, if you don't want, go back to that system. My argument is this. Geopolitical, this is the most wonderful place. If China delegation coming, USA running and coming here. If another delegation coming, they also run. Why? The validity, the recognition of Sri Lanka.
And the location.
Location, basically now USA top man will come. That's good for Sri Lanka. That's good for Sri Lanka. Even they don't go anywhere in the world, but they come to Sri Lanka. Why? They recognize geopolitical. So this land belongs to us, Sri Lankans. We have to protect it. But rather than these silly deviations, I think we should come to one position. At least we should encourage the current president to develop this. At least 2 years enough. Then think about alternative. He's doing his best. Sometimes he personally go to places and give the orders. I was the former dean, Kotalawala Defense University. I know when he was the Secretary of Defense, how he functioned the country. There can be opposition views, yes. It has to be taken into consideration. So that's why people have selected, okay, we trust the president, therefore we trust president party and given 150 majority. But sometimes in the same party I have seen different opinions are coming. That's okay. That is a freedom of expression.
People are different. And Doctor, you spoke of independent commissions. And what about the benefits to the common masses?
Yes. I am not calling it independent commissions. They are dependent commissions for the Prime Minister. That's my definition. I am not fear even if you file a case for me. All these are dependent commissions. In future only independent commissions are coming. So what this commission did, these commissions are there. See the police commission doing a mess today. Even the police chief cannot take a decision. Sometimes these members are unaware what happening in the society. But Honorable Acting IGP knows what's happened. He's the one who running the mechanism. If these members are coming and dragging his leg, all the criminals will come again. So we have to think one thing. All these independent commissions, you have a law. So abide by the law. Rather than doing that, what you do to satisfy several people. Even in Human Rights Commission, I have seen more than 9,000 to 10,000 cases. Sri Lankan, innocent, government, citizen cases not resolved, they are trying to resolve Geneva cases. So what is the purpose? Are you saying this is independent? This is dependent to Geneva and this is dependent to former Prime Minister. That's why my argument. So change that system. Change that system. We will run smoothly and all these commissions are also cannot act as they want. If you want to show the independence, you show it rather than criticizing the system. Can an independent commission member say, don't vote for Porto, don't vote for this party? Is that independent? I'm asking you. I'm a commission member, independent.
As a human right.
Yeah, you can't do it. Openly saying, need federal. Openly say, don't vote for this. So this is where action is happening. So these people are running with the ultra motive of trans LTT government is there in Denmark. I know that. Even the British Parliament now they have, banned, blacklisted LTT. But still they are running, functioning. So that element needs Sri Lanka to run a system. They know it is grabbing. But they know not like Libya. People love Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa. People love these leaders. They protect. But Libya, it never happened. Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, one of the best who did for the country, but there was no people. But here you can't do it. Because they know where the people mandate. So most of the parties today, even I think government getting opposition support also now. I have seen some of the opposition members, they are telling, yes, we should support and strengthen the government. So in that case, I mean not to abuse power. Not to go beyond the law. Not to go beyond the power. Within the framework, do people for work. I'll give another example. I was in Australia. I was working in Australia. Sri Lankans are working very hard. They start the job early morning 6 and they finish the job 8 p.m. for the country. Why Sri Lankans can't do it? In Jamaica, a lot of Chinese investments are there, construction. They start the work 6 and they finish the work night 8 within few months. That's the culture we need. That's the discipline culture we need. So I think President can set up. So this, if we are working efficiently, you are working so hard. So if we can work more hours for the institution, means more hours for the people, not for the salary. My next generation. People are not thinking like that. When the culture changes, some people, they may resist for that. But long term, if you can set up this like Cuba, Russia, even like Singapore, we can develop this country. So one thing, cultural changes needed, mental changes needed, and to show how Sri Lanka is going forward. This is my personal opinion.
And would you like to also enlighten us if the masses stand to lose, do they lose anything in this amendment?
Good question. Now, masses means not political parties.
No.
Yeah.
The common people.
Yeah. Political parties may lose certain things because they can't go with that former system. No, people gain. What people gain? Really a workable country. Really a mandate to develop the country for our self-sufficient system. Honorable former Prime Minister Sirima Bandaranaike was there. Introduced a system, 5-year plan. This was actually, destroyed by the UNP government and they opened the economy. Finally, we are suffering. Even a future party, I am saying, don't do that. Even USA, Donald Trump may go, Joe Biden may come. Their policies may not change. Policies are running. See what happened, Guantanamo Bay. Honorable Obama, before coming to power, he said, I will close down. But when he came to power, nothing happened. So that is the country policy. So this government, this president can set up a system like that. So policy is very important. If you are working with the policy, law and order, I mean the country will develop. Sri Lankans are very, very enthusiastic people and their energy is very high. See, in the COVID-19 also, immunity system, Sri Lankan can work high. And even I have seen some countries, their, death rate is very high. But Sri Lanka death rate is very low. I am not telling that. But Sri Lankans are having the capabilities, skills, as well as they are serving in several countries. I served in Jamaica. They invited me. Why? A Sri Lankan should go and run a university in Jamaica. They know our talents. So Sri Lanka, good talents are there. Even you, Jamaica Radio will call you because they know your talents. So that we have to harvest and invest in this country.
Yes, we see a lot of skilled labor going outside of the country. And we see that sometimes people come into our country and work as well. So what could be done in terms of this as well?
Yes, two things we have to do. Set up a system, recognize, respect these type of professionals. Number two, professionals are there. They are not coming to Sri Lanka. They think there must be some political deviations are there. And also differences may come up. So we have to show them, this is your motherland. They can get leave for 1 year, at least 6 months. Like that, time to time they can get leave. And invite them. They will come. In all foreign universities of this world, one Sri Lankan is working. Australia, all universities. Even in Indonesia, many universities, Sri Lankan professors are there, doctors are there. John Hopkins Hospital, how many Sri Lankans are working? They like Sri Lankans' working culture. But it is there in another country, it is not in our country. So this is where we have to come up without laziness. I teach my daughter, okay, do something for the country. If you are working for 4 hours, online even, no, you do this much. Even I am telling to my wife, that's how the family structural things. Other than that, if you are going here and there, it may never work. So have a vision. With that wisdom, where the president is showing to this country, we can run this system to the head.
So, Doctor, in your opinion, once there is an amendment, 20th Amendment, you think we can attract the people who went away from our country to return? And could we offer them?
That's a good question. Possibilities there. With the 20th Amendment, President as the decision maker, President will come up with the policy. After the independence, I have seen this only this time. So what the President must show? Sri Lankan diaspora. How many people came to vote for Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa? This is the first time I have seen. In several countries I have seen. That means they have the trust. So what you have to do, get those skillful people, those who have migrated because desperate in Sri Lanka of political differences in the last government. A lot of people are there. Call them, invite them, set up them, and then show them we are treating equally for all and we will develop the country. Everything we have, weather, mountains, wildlife. Even in Jamaica, no wildlife. So this system, this country, you may not get the weather system or even agriculture. You go to Noracholi. You can plant lot of things, even in the sand. This only in Sri Lanka. And lot of minerals are there, not found. Even you can find, petroleum, some type of minerals are there. So we will invite all these things, place them in the proper place and ask them to do research and investigation. I think those reports can be worked.
Finally, Doctor, your message to the listeners.
Yes, my only message. We are now facing with a very strong pandemic. Number one is where your self-restrictions you have to impose rather than waiting for the government restrictions. Put your self-restriction, safety first, health first, and then your other surroundings. Number two, we have a good system. We have a good parliament now. Encourage the parliament. Give your recommendations when the new constitution draft is coming. India, when the constitution was about to introduce, 17 million gave their proposal. I think Sri Lanka, everyone can participate. So this is called people participation. In the people participation, send your views, ideas, recommendations directly to the President Secretariat or Prime Minister or other ministers. Help them, get them on the correct path, and then we will smoothly run the country. And I think everyone, I'm encouraging everyone to do that and show your strength for the government to run the system. And then with the new constitution, people have a freedom to think what they are going to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for being a part of the 11th hour program. Thank you.